everyone, back again for another video. This is the Tea with Terika, and I'm here to give you guys content on the good things that happen in my life, along with many different things on my channel, such as mental health advice, story times, and clothing and product reviews. So today, guess what? There's going to be a story time. Before we get into that, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a life update. So what I have been up to has been growing myself this past year. Since it's 2021, let's start off 2021 as a good year compared to 2020 when a lot of stuff happened because of COVID and the pandemic and a lot of people going into quarantine or isolation. So what I've been working on is that I just started my career as a mental health therapist. So I have an upcoming seminar this May. I don't have a date or a time yet for you guys, but that's going to be advertised on both my Instagram and Facebook in the future. Along with, I'm thinking of an idea to also do another giveaway, but there's going to be a requirement for this giveaway. So that's going to be on my Facebook and Instagram as well. And if you don't know my Facebook, you need to search for it because I'm hard to find. So if you want to find me, come and look for me. That's on my Facebook, and my Instagram is usually in the comments down below. So let's get into the story time for today. So I would say one thing that is about the story time is that I don't have anything against my family members, nothing at all. I love them to death. And this is not something to make fun of them or anything, but my family's funny and there's certain situations that I find humor in. So let's get started. So this story time actually happened, I would say about 5 years ago. So this happened when I first got my car. I used to have a 2009 Nissan Altima. I no longer have that car. If you guys have not noticed from my social media, but that was my first ever owned car, and I got that when I was 20 years old. So yeah, 5 years ago, because I'm 25. So I got a new car, and my mom at the time said that since I got a new car and it doesn't have that much mileage on it, let's go to New York City. Why not? So when she told me this, I freaked out. I was like, my new car is my baby. I don't want to go down there when my car gets hit, totaled, whatever. And she said she'll drive. So I'm just like, okay, cool, you'll drive. So for this trip, my mom wanted to bring her best friend. And that's my mom's best friend and co-worker as well, because her best friend and co-worker is from New York City. So she can show us around to different areas where we can shop, where we can eat, along with Times Square and all the other monuments that are down there. And also how to use the subway system, because I'm from New York and I get lost. I have no sense of direction and I will get lost in the subway. So she wanted me to invite someone that would go with us. So it would be easier to invite one of my cousins. So I invite one of my cousins. We're going to call her Sadie for this story time. So me and Sadie's like 2-3 years younger than me, but for a body type, she's a bigger person, so she's a bigger individual, and that plays a very important part in the story. So I invite Sadie to go with us. So my mom was in the driver's seat, me passenger seat, her mom's best friend in the back seat. Give my mom's best friend a name. We're gonna call her Martha. So Martha was sitting in the back seat and Sadie was sitting behind me. So the drive to Sadie was fine. It's like a 6-7 hour drive, so we drove down there just fine. And we got there, we left early in the morning, we parked our car, paid for parking, and we started walking places. So like I said, for Sadie, she's a bigger body type than I am. So she wasn't really dressed for New York City. She was wearing flip-flops and jeans and a t-shirt, and it was the summertime. We went around like July time, so I'm pretty sure she's a little bit hot in that. And we told her that when we picked her up, but she's like, I'll be good. But you walk around New York City with flip-flops on, so I'm just sitting here like, we all wearing sneakers, we all ready to go, we're all ready to rock it. I'm wearing some shorts and a tank top because I know I'm going to have to shop. So we walk around New York City, we go in different places. I remind you that I am a vegetarian, so I don't mind when people eat meat around me. So we went to like Popeyes at first. So they ate, and Sadie ate a lot because she's a bigger body type than I am. And there's a good amount of stuff that she did eat, and she likes eating. She has mentioned that before in the past. So along with that in the story time, we shopped, and because my mom and her best friend Martha are older individuals, they shop at different stores than me and Sadie would. So me and her would go to different stores. And a lot of this information didn't occur until like after we came back to my mom's house after this New York City trip. So I wasn't aware of all the stuff that was going on. So I went to like all these smuggler stores down in New York City, these bougie backdoor stores. I gotta get my stuff for cheap. And I don't, have you seen from my clothing reviews? I like shopping, and shopping is one of the things that I like doing. So I would shop and shop and shop and shop. And Sadie wanted to come with me wherever I went, so that's what we did. And throughout this New York City trip, when we were walking place to place, we were accumulating all this stuff. So my mom and her best friend Martha decided to get like these little buggies for us. They bought them for like $30, and we started putting our bag stuff in them to be able to carry our stuff more. So because they bought the bag, my mom asked me, could we both share the buggy to pull it? And Martha and Sadie supposed to share one. Sadie pulled this buggy for all of 5 seconds, and then was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's making me too tired. My feet hurt. This is after like a few hours down in New York City, but guess what? Guess why your feet hurt? Because you're wearing flip-flops in New York City. And that ground down there, if you have been in New York City, is dirty. So I'm sitting here like, I was like trying to pump her up, like, we're going to push these buggies. And she's just like, nope, not doing it. So she made Martha, my mom's best friend, push these buggies for the entire rest of the trip, holding her stuff as well that she bought. So, small disclaimer about Martha. She's the oldest of the entire group. She's 10 years older than my mother. So at the time, I believe that she was like in her late 60s, walking around New York City pushing this heavy buggy full of clothes. And I'm sitting here like, and Sadie's just walking, buying stuff off the streets, getting her little street meat from these vendors on the street. So she all fine and good and dandy. And she doesn't even notice the fact that she is being rude at the time and is not helping at all. And she continued on with her stuff. I know for a fact that she just got like one of her first big like summer jobs, so she has a good amount of cash in her pocket to buy stuff. And around this time, I was like going into my senior year of college, and I also had a summer job, but this is like during the weekend, so we had time off from work, just like my mom and her best friend Martha. So one part of the trip that stood out very greatly to me was that we went to, I believe it was Jamaica, New York, and there was like this underground like jewelry store kind of strip mall that we went to buy and sell jewelry. We had been there before in the past, so I went to New York City before, so this is something we always do. So we went to the strip mall, and we were walking around, went downstairs, looked at the jewelry, looked at all different products, and me and Sadie ended up coming upstairs where my mom and her best friend stayed downstairs. So me and Sadie were sitting there, and we were sitting like in this like coin massage chair. I was just sitting in there, and she was standing up because she wanted to come upstairs because she needed to charge her phone because her phone was dying. So we found an outlet next to this chair, so she was standing up next to the chair because her phone cord was short to charge her phone. And I was just sitting in the chair waiting on them, and I ended up calling my mom because it was taking a little bit too long, but she didn't answer. So I told Sadie, okay, I'm going to go downstairs and see what my mom's doing and her best friend doing. So I went straight downstairs, like a spiral stairs. It was like 2 feet away from this chair. It's not that far away. And we weren't that far away. And as soon as I got downstairs, straight in front of these stairs was my mom and her best friend standing talking to this vendor who was selling jewelry. My mom was negotiating, gave her prices, trying to get the best deal. And I walked up, was like, oh, I called you. She's like, oh, I don't get service down here. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So I was sitting there talking to her and her best friend, Martha. We call her Miss. So I call her Miss Martha. And we're just sitting there. It was like all of 5 minutes we were down there. And maybe it was a little bit more than that. But I don't actually remember. I know it was not a long time, though. So eventually, I guess my mom got some sort of service. And she received a phone call from Sadie's mom. And Sadie's mom said that Sadie's in the middle of Times Square about to get kidnapped, and that we left her by herself. I left her by herself to get kidnapped, so we're going to run off with her, and that we just left her and abandoned her, and she needs to get picked up by her mom and her dad. They need to come to New York City right now to come and get her. And we're listening to this phone call, and I'm trying not to laugh because I'm like, I'm 20 and Sadie's like, what was she, like 18? And I'm just sitting here like, for the kind of personality, I'm not gonna laugh because some people get upset because they have a very sensitive personality, sensitive temperament. But this girl, my cousin Sadie, she doesn't have the kind of temperament. She is the kind of girl that is ride or die, fight until the end kind of person, and she hard as can be. So when I hear that she says she gonna get kidnapped, I'm about to laugh because I'm just like, not to be mean, but girl, nobody's gonna kidnap you. No one's gonna kidnap you. That's period. No one can get up and try to pull you. No one can do that. So I'm gonna let you know plain out that no one's trying to kidnap you. And then like after we got off the phone with her and told her that she's not about to get kidnapped, we told Sadie's mom this. I see Sadie coming down these stairs and crying while being on the phone with her mom. Like her mom called her back. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what you doing? And she's like, you left me and all this other stuff. You hadn't gone for like an hour. And I was like, girl, we have not been gone for an hour. I've been standing right here. I'm like, did you even come down here and look for us? She's like, yes, I did. I'm like, well, we've been standing in front of the stairwell the entire time, so we would have saw you too if you actually came downstairs and looked for us. So that was the funniest part of New York City. Along with after we left and went to Applebee's in Times Square, eventually made it to Times Square to do some more shopping, of course. And by that point, Sadie was complaining, saying her feet hurt, that she's tired, that she doesn't want to do anything anymore, and that she's hungry. So a common phrase is that she's hungry and she's tired. So we decided we're all hungry, we're all a little bit tired. Let's go sit down and get some food. So we decided to go to Applebee's in Times Square since we thought that was gonna be the cheapest. But knowing New York City prices, they jacked those prices up when it comes to common restaurants. So Applebee's was a little bit more expensive than usual, but we were fine with that. I expected that. We all expected that, except Sadie. So Sadie ordered herself a full chicken finger dinner platter, along with multiple refills of, I believe it was flavored lemonade, but I also believe that they do not do free refills at this Applebee's to make that money. So she kept ordering all this stuff and then got dessert as well and then got an appetizer. So she paid for her own bill. I'm paying for my own bill. Mark paid for her own bill. My mom paid for her own bill. Actually, correction. I think my mom and I both paid, but I think my mom paid. I was paying her back. But basically, we're all paying some sort of amount for this food. And Sadie's sitting there by herself paying for stuff. And I know for a fact that Sadie has gone places without her parents and paid for stuff by herself because she's gone to eat before. So she's not that inexperienced when it comes to that. So when she receives the bill at the end, I was like, girl, you bought a lot. And I told her that during the meal. You bought a lot. And she's like, not going to be that much. But she wouldn't think about those New York City prices. So she gets this bill and she's looking around like, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, what you looking at? Because at that point I got up and walked to the bathroom because no one's paying for you. She had to pay for herself because she ordered that much food and ate all the food. So she was very mad at Applebee's that she had to pay all this money, all her summer job money that she spent in New York City. And she was complaining still about her feet, being tired, paying too much money. And she tells us all to her mom at the end. And she basically acted like it was a terrible trip and that we did a lot of stuff that she didn't want to do. It would make her do more than she had to do. A lot of stuff that we were walking around was just walking to the subway, getting on the subway, going to another part of town. So honestly, we didn't do that much walking. We walked, I think, average. Well, you walk generally a lot in New York City. I can't even give an estimate. I think like 10 miles we walked. But we also was in New York City from 8 a.m. to about 8 p.m. So in 12 hours, we walked 10 miles, which is, I don't think is a lot for walking around New York City. And we took the subway and the bus a lot to get from place to place to different boroughs within New York City, different stores, places and monuments we were looking for. So I didn't think it was that much. And what I heard back from her mom after that point was that I was taking her to some skinny girl stores the entire time and forcing her to watch me get clothes while I knew that she couldn't fit any of these clothes. I don't know what size you wear. I don't think about when I go into stores, do they have a plus size section? Do they have a section for people who are bigger bone? I don't think about that when I go to store for people. And because I'm not that size, and maybe I should be more aware of what I'm doing, and I put that on myself, but I didn't hear this firsthand from her that, oh, I can't fit anything in the store. Can we go to a store that has plus sizes? She has a voice, she can speak. She could have said that at the beginning. And I'm sitting here like getting all these critiques. I'm making her do all this stuff. I left her and I was not being nice to her at all during this time in New York City. I'm like, first of all, we took my car. I invited you. I did all this stuff to entertain you. And at the same time, you're sitting there complaining and getting mad at me about the whole entire New York City trip, and then also not helping out when it came to pulling your stuff in this buggy, and your clothes are the ones who weigh the most. So at the end of the day, you tell me that we're doing all this stuff to you, but you weren't doing nothing at all. And then you spent most of your money on food. So I'm not going to sit here and take all these critiques about something that you never told me about in the first place that we were even doing wrong to you. So that's my New York City trip with my mom and my cousin and my mom's best friend, Martha. So if you have any comments or any suggestions, you can put those in the comments down below. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, the Tea with Terika. And I'll see you for another video. Have a good day. Bye-bye.